back for another episode of Permission Talk, and I am super excited. I might even say giddy. I got my man with us today. PT is on the ones and twos. He's at the Permission Talk table. Ladies, can y'all drop some emojis in the chat to welcome my boo thing. Hey, babe.
What's up? Glad to be here.
How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I've been watching. Y'all been killing.
Have we?
Look at it. Yeah, man. Got all the special people this season. This is good.
Nobody special like you.
Hey, man. But thanks for having me. I'm excited. I have no idea what we're going to be talking about, which is great.
Yes.
So we're like,
fun.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So the topic today is never again to wedding bells. Can you give your version of the story of why your name, guys, this is what happened. I saved his name in my phone as never again because he was a great guy. Can you tell him why I saved your name?
I didn't know my name. I didn't know that was my name in your phone. I have no idea why you would do that.
You don't have any idea why I would do that.
I was really good to you. I was young.
You were young. There we are. That's good.
Trying to figure things out, you know. We never broke up, off and on, for several years.
What does off mean? That means we're together?
No, I mean that like we would have a disagreement and then we would stop talking.
That's a breakup, babe.
But it was never like, we're done, you know.
It just never again.
There was never no closure. So that means that the door was revolving.
Sad to say, it kind of was. My version of it is I felt like this amazing guy that was different than everybody else. Although he said he didn't necessarily lie, but I do feel like he wasn't always bringing his full self to the table. And I had committed to myself that I was unwilling to go on rides that weren't taking me somewhere. And I felt like I had gotten on his ride a couple times and I ended up on an emotional roller coaster that would take me really high, but drop me. And like I'm at the peak of we about to get married, how many children we gonna have, and then it's just like we're out and I was done with it. So I saved his number in my phone as never again. And
But
okay, what happened?
But you are also very nonchalant. So I had no idea that you were like as high as you know, now claim to be.
Because you have to match energy. So for my ladies, if he not giving green, you don't give green. You cannot be talking about things that he's not talking about. So for me, I'm one that always tells women, you don't have to play games in terms of like acting like you're not in it, but you don't go further than the man shows initiative. And so that was my thing. It's like, oh, if you out, I'm out. And as I would tell my homegirls, we're going to put our high heels back on. We might cry by ourselves, not with this guy, but we're not gonna settle for anything less than we're worth. So that's kind of how it ended up in never again land. And I think this was the appetite for my voice phone call that got you back in there.
I don't remember that.
Y'all, it's a lot of stories. We're gonna kind of try to progress. Let's just move past that part. I'm gonna ask the question first. In a relationship, when a woman is dating a guy and she knows she's a good girl, she feels like she's cool, she likes her vibe, why do you feel like women often put on the front or kind of act as if they're not who they actually are when they start dating? Like, why are they acting kind of fake and counterfeit when they actually are dope?
I don't know. I was dating a girl one time.
Okay.
I was kicking it, and
You remember her name?
yeah.
I'm joking.
No, I remember. Like, I'm a germaphobe and like I'm very particular, so like I don't put ketchup on.
I love this. He's talking about me, y'all. I actually was gonna tell the story myself. You got ahead of me. Anyway, go ahead.
It was a dumb conversation.
Very dumb.
But I was like, yeah, man, I don't know how people put ketchup all over their fries like that. Like, that's a lot going on. That's nasty. I gotta put my ketchup on the side. Today is the same thing. It's like you dip, like you gotta have control of the environment. Ketchup be having ketchup everywhere. She was like, yeah, I know. I don't do that either. And then it went to like years later, just like, you don't put ketchup on my fries.
I absolutely put ketchup all over my fries. Nobody eats that potato chips with two fingers other than you. You're random.
And Champ. My middle son.
And my son, but neither here nor there.
Yeah.
I feel like personally, if I'm looking at my own life in that moment, we were just kind of getting to know each other, and it was just easier to go along with to get along than to like just stand on the opposite side of the ketchup and the French fries. Yeah. But in your opinion, why would you say it was good for a woman to show her natural, swag? Like, what's important about it?
I think kind of knowing what you're gonna get. You know, like for me, I've always been attracted to like the rawest version of of you. So whether that's natural or if like we out eating and you like there's something that's just etiquette. Like don't take a to-go plate home on the first date. That's just country. But
Really?
don't take a to-go plate home on the first date. That means you ain't got nothing to eat at home.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you broke. That's just unattractive. Very unattractive.
Ladies, I hope y'all heard him. Y'all still out there
Very,
looking.
very, very unattractive. The waitress come by and be like, y'all want 1 or 2 boxes, and I'm always gonna say no. It's the first date. You know what I mean? Be like, no, I'm good.
Oh, so the guy can't do it either.
No.
Oh, wow.
That mean they broke.
It means they're broke. Got it.
Yeah. So and I'll be like, no, I'm good, and you be like, yeah, I'll take this guy. I'm like, dang man, nah man, you got a lot going on. And then if you get my plate and scoop like. Heck no. You is. No, man. No, ma'am. You cannot raise my kids. This is the first date and you
Travis.
grabbing food from my plate.
What if I'm just hungry and I like what we ate?
That's ridiculous. Go, hold it together.
Okay.
Go home.
So you feel like there's a part of the they gotta put on.
Yeah, just a little bit. You know what I mean? But I'm not saying you ain't gotta like act like you don't eat. Like that ain't cute either. You know what I mean? If you just like I'm cool with you like picking the burger up just like you know, you can bite the burger, like eat your food, you know.
Just
but
don't take nothing.
don't be taking home. And especially don't take no fried food home. That is the ultimate, you is disgusting. You take to-go fries home, man.
Baby, you got a lot going on. We got to talk about.
You taking chicken fingers to go fries home, you a kid. I am not dating you. That's ridiculous. You gonna put fries in the microwave. I can't date you under no circumstance. That's ridiculous. Because you can easily go to McDonald's later or somewhere.
I'm done.
You taking fries.
We're still talking about French fries. I'm done.
Yeah, and then you got to go.
Baby,
Can I get
okay,
another container for my
question.
barbecue sauce? I'm never seeing you again, ever. That's how you go from to never again. Yeah, my phone is never again. That's ridiculous. You taking
Okay.
tenders home. What the heck?
I'm done on the French fries and the to-go box.
Yeah, all of that.
We're almost 12 years in. Greatest advice that you would have given a wife, your one.
I think there's a balance of being very open about your needs and your expectations.
That's good.
That balance of also like not setting a tone in your house for being like a nagger. I think that's just a balance, you know, because if you're a nagger, then emotionally I'm gonna try to avoid that. But at the same time, I don't want you upset and we having all these unmet expectations because I don't know what you want. So I just think finding that balance, and I think sound voices and wisdom can help give guidance in that, whether it's a mentor or someone like, hey, how do I handle this, and not just trying to navigate those spaces alone. I think can just be helpful. But I think the more as I reflect on us, the first year or two, the more we knew like expectations, we knew buttons, and we knew things to stay away from. We knew topics that would just, don't go there. I think that helped us with conflict resolution, which I think is like to me is the ultimate test of communication. How you get through in and out of conflict, and confrontation. So that would be my advice to your one wife. Like let them know, like, hey, I would love for you to do this more, or can you help me with this? And
From a man's point of view, how does that come off not as nagging? Because you're saying to communicate what I need. I feel like if I'm communicating what I need, it could come across as like a burden. And that is something that women deal with a lot.
Yeah, I think the way you communicate it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, if it's like, there's 2 different ways to ask me to take the trash out. If you're just like, it'll be very helpful on your way out in the morning if you just take the trash with you, or something like that. That's way different than, I'm tired of this kitchen stink. Like, what, you want me to take it out again? It flies in here, and every time it's running over. You're irresponsible. That's like, now you're a nagger, and I'm just like, all right. But if it's like, it'll be very like helpful for me, and not having to, and I think we learned this too, not feeling like every time you make a request, you have to counter it with what's your contribution, because that's annoying too. Like, you see me washing the dishes, the least you can do, or I at least make up the bed. Like, I don't need your list of what you do. You know what I mean?
You could just ask her.
Yeah, you can just ask. You can simply like let me know the expectation before you get frustrated the fact that I hadn't done it for a month, and now your tone is, that you already built the case against me that he's immature. Your mama always took out the trash for you. You don't want to do nothing, and you are, you lazy. So you've already built this case. I didn't know. I just thought it was cool to let it run over a little bit. I thought you was cool with there being an extra trash bag on the side of the trash, like,
know.
I just didn't know. So I think setting that expectation in the way you said it, and pacing the expectations, right?
My God.
Yeah, man. Like, if it's 10 things on the Tuesday, that's nagging. There is a limit. That's a 3
need limit.
3 need limit. Every 48 hours. Let that thing space out just a little bit. Like,
and I'll say something else that I feel like has helped us specifically is not only communicating what you need, but being open to say, like, hey, like, how can I serve you? Also, I think it's just been really helpful for both of us.
Sure.
Because I think it keeps the door open of like, no, I'm not doing everything right. I want to communicate because I don't want you guessing, but I also want to know how I can serve you better. It speaks to humility to me.
And something else that you brought into our relationship that I think has been helpful is like applauding, effort.
What you love.
Yeah, and things that you like, man, like, thank you so much for doing that. And you just be surprised how much that, like, motivates somebody to want to do more of it. And so I think that's something, I don't know what year that shifted for us, but I feel like that's something that's been very helpful for us as well. Just like always showing gratitude for the things we love. And then whenever there is an expectation that's not being met, it's easy to, take.
That's huge. I feel like we got to speak to the single ladies because I know it's a lot of my girls out there. And it's trending. Like, it seems like later and later, guys are committing later, putting the ring on later. We got a lot of ladies that are, full of really huge treasure. And they're just not experiencing, like, the guy showing up or they want to live in great longer. Like, what is advice that you would give to a woman in terms of just what you were looking for in terms of what would make you commit? Daughter sitting in the room. Word of wisdom to her as she's on this single journey.
Hey y'all, sorry for the interruption. I know you thought this was Dr. Jackie. No, it is I, Keisha. But I'm here interrupting for a really good reason. I'm here to tell you to get the Permission app. You guys, if you don't have it, you're missing out. There's so much happening. Community, exclusive, and the Let's Talk About It exclusive episodes that happen after every Permission talk. Only live in the Permission app. Make sure you go ahead, download today, join, so you don't miss out. Okay? Now back to the show.
Yeah, I can't speak for every dude. For me, I think it was helpful not knowing how vested you were, because of who I was and my position and like what I did in ministry and then who I was on campus. Like, I was very, very used to girls throwing themselves at me.
You still like the taste.
Yeah, so that for me was just unattractive. In any space, whether it was on campus or in the church, like a girl who was just that I didn't even have to try. And I was just like, what up, shawty? And she's like, hey, I was like, immediately, I was like, yeah, that ain't for me. So for me personally, not knowing where you stood, knowing that there was something, we were flirting with each other, but that you were good without me was really you telling me that you going to celebrate New Year's with somebody else. It's like, wait a minute, I ain't nobody ever did that now. Are you telling me yeah, fam, you ain't got to impress me. All of those things, are you being hey, if you're unsure about me, we good, you know what I mean? You can go find somebody you're sure about. All those things for me communicated how much what you saw in yourself and what you thought of yourself, which I was smart enough to know would be critical in my future.
Okay.
Because I knew I would be, even though, I had, I was known there locally, I knew there was a global call on my life. I knew that all my life. So a part of that, I knew I had to have a woman that was secure. It just wasn't going to work. It would have been way too much work trying to drag somebody and rebuild. I'm not saying that you're, should be discarded if that's your story. I just couldn't have that a part of my journey. I needed somebody who was secure enough that I didn't have to rebuild their identity and go after it and all that. I just needed somebody who was no, we're good. Let's roll. Somebody who I can run with and not be slowed down by. And so those things were attractive to me. For a woman, I'd say build that muscle, you know, whatever it takes. If it takes being in permission room, permission world, being around girls who like very like, no, I'm good, like, and not that false like I can do a battle by myself. It ain't that, because that also ain't attractive. You know what I mean? Like I ain't you know, that ain't. I don't need you like beat me in basketball. I'm just saying, personally. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't need you like doing all that to me either. But at the same time, like you having like you being secure in who you are, I think it's important for a dude that's going somewhere. So
that's good. I feel like what you were describing about me particularly was actually who I was, not necessarily me trying to be something. And I think that goes a long way. And I feel like when I was single, in the times where I was stupid, I felt like I was trying to prove that I was worthy. Like, oh, I'm gonna do all these things that he expects. That cancels out the chase. It cancels out the challenge that you talked about that was appealing to you. And I feel like that women just need to hear, like, you actually holding your ground, having boundaries, knowing who you are is not unappealing. It actually makes people, or make a guy work harder and pursue you more. So I think that that's really good. But one thing that I wonder in terms of the whole idea of like guys committed later, many guys do that whole thing about like having a hard time with committed because they feel like she cool, like she good, but like what if greater is out there? And I know I talk a lot about like this good versus great kind of thing. How much do you feel like that plays a factor in why guys aren't committed now? And like, how do you know when you are at the point of great or if it's good? Like, what's your thoughts around the good versus great conversation in regards to guys and commitment?
You mean how they see women?
Like, for instance, I'm talking to a girl and she dope, but like, I ain't gonna give her the ring because like, what if somebody's greater out there? Like, what if there's still something? Or do you feel like there are signs to say like, no, like, you know, this is the one, this is your great thing? Like, how do you have anything that you would say are signs that they could be looking for to know the difference?
Okay. All right, I was gonna try to give like a church answer, but I'll just give a real answer.
Please. That's what this is. It's for real time.
I think a lot of dudes, if I'm honest, I think media be having dudes hyped up thinking that like something is attainable or even that something is the goal that ain't.
Wow.
Like Kim Kardashian ain't the goal. You know what I mean? Like that ain't. So I think a lot of dudes be setting their own target based off of like these online models or like different stuff like on TikTok or just like, oh, I need my like, you know what I mean? Like half of those girls take 3 hours to look like that, first of all. And second of all, like a lot of that stuff is just shallow. So I think if I'm being honest, I think a lot of dudes, when they scale good to great, it ain't even based off like the girl's personality. It's based off of them thinking that, oh, nah, I'm waiting on. I'm just using Kim Kardashian. I don't know people in culture. I barely know who she is. But like that, I think I think a lot of dudes in their minds is like, yeah, nah, like I need this, and then you know they get that and then don't like it. And we've seen that too. So I think when I think of a guy's perspective of good to great, and just from you know my homies like coming up, a lot of that was superficial. It was never like waiting on like a great thing as far as like a girl who can hold a conversation or a girl that can hang. It was like, you know, it was all about look at this, you know, you would show a picture, look who I'm talking to. That was it.
All about physical.
That was it, 100%. It was never about, you know, it wasn't until we got older that it's like, you know, if one of our homies dating a girl, then it's like you ask, you know, I asked my dude wife, like, what do you think about, you know, what do you think about old girl that homie dating? You know what I mean? And now it's like, I think we just older, so no one cares about how the girl look.
Really?
You know? No. Not really. That ain't what we talk. We care about like, dude, our wives like being around her. You know what I mean? Or that's like, nah, homegirl weird. I mean, that's it. Like, now we gotta consider trips. we gotta consider birthday dinners. Like, we gotta consider y'all around my kids. You know what I mean? Like, it's bigger now than just, is she cute?
You mentioned good conversation. Is it any other things that you think about when you think about a great girl?
I mean, I'm an old guy now, you know. So when I think about like my single days, man, that's, you know, we talking. I mean, pre-you is 16.
What would you want Jason to have in a girl?
for me, compatibility is everything. So I think it's custom. I don't think there's a one size fit all. I think it depends. Like I see couples that just match. Like Jen is great for Matt. You know what I mean? Like I can go on and on. Like there's couples that just like, oh, that makes sense, and it match. And for their worlds, for how they gel in and out, how they move in and out of business and out of music and out of families, like that just makes sense. So I think it's compatibility, and I think our three boys are completely different. So I think they have three different wives. I don't think they're married three sisters, you know? I think one might marry a white girl, one might marry a black girl, one might marry a girl from Africa, one might marry a Hispanic girl, one might, you don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think all of them will marry
the same type
of girl that live in their neighborhood. I strongly doubt that. I think they all will have, and I think they'll influence each other, but I think depending on their race and depending on their speed and depending on what they're into, like already I'm seeing a separation of things that they're into. So I had a conversation with my trainer yesterday. He was asking about, he was like, so you brought Champ a PS5 for his birthday? And I was like, well, it's really for the boys, but yeah, really for Champ, because Champ is a gamer. Like, and you know, he's 2 years younger than Jace, but he's way more into video games than Jace. Jace is into Keenan and Kel now. You know what I mean? Like, he just want to watch shows on his iPad and want to, you know, play ninjas, but he ain't trying to sit there in front of us. He complained now that, Champ, you in front of the game all day. Like, all you doing is playing this game. So I think when it comes to relationships, it'll be based on compatibility. You know, how can two walk together unless they agree? And so I think that's for anybody. I would tell you to find somebody who can run with you.
Yeah.
Not someone you have to walk with. Like, that's just a nuisance, man. And then I'm sitting around wondering. That would be miserable for me, waking up thinking about what am I missing out on because I'm having to slow down for you.
Yeah.
That would, and I got friends like that, several of them, pastor friends, artist friends, just friends in general. That's just like, yeah, man, she don't want to go, you know.
And I think that what you said, the compatibility is custom thing is huge. I don't think that many. I'll ask you this question. Somebody brought up to me that they didn't feel like it was. I was counseling them through not premarital. They were having some marital issues. I was asking them if they feel like they were for each other, and she said, "I don't know if the one exists." And this whole idea of it just being one specific person for you. But when you speak of the compatibility being custom, can you give your viewpoint on that? Give your honest truth.
I know it's a lot of arguments about it. The reason I believe the one exists is because I believe God is God. That's my total and final answer. I just think a God that could come in a form like through a virgin, you know what I mean, and like customize that so specific through a teenage Jewish girl, like. And can breed galaxies, and can have a redemptive plan for man, but not fallen angels, and can, you know, like there's so much and specificity and specificity to what he does that like I can't help but to think that he has my life planned out, and if he's that sovereign and if he's that omega, then he had a one for me. I believe that. And I believe that in his goodness that he allows a collision course, because he doesn't play the short game, he played the long game. So like, you know, Isaac mattered to him. Like, Isaac mattered so much to him that he brought Abraham from here, Sarah from here, collided them, and then let them wait all this long time and test them for this specific kid to be born that would have twins, but the oil be specifically on Jacob.
Yeah.
And, you know, like that, all the way to get to Jesus. Like, my personal thing, I just believe that if he could take his time and make me the way he did, knowing the hairs on my head, like ordering my steps, allowing my life to play out, then surely there's someone, because he doesn't just have me in mind, he has Jace in mind. And the way he wants Jace and who he wants Jace to come through, and the person of Jace, the fact that Jeremiah once says, before I formed you, I knew you. So he knew Jace before Travis and Jackie knew each other. So that means that we had to be the ones to produce whatever. And even if it's not a kid, produce a business or create a ministry or create like I believe in the power of marriage. I believe in the power of union, and I believe that the God who brought Eve to Adam is the God who brought Jackie to Travis. That's my personal belief.
I believe the same thing. Yeah. I feel like the conversation is centered around a lot of customization, and I speak a lot about like authenticity in general. My last question for you, I've been hitting you with some hard ones. When you think about your spouse and really this idea around them absolutely being their God created version, like who God wants, not necessarily, or I wouldn't say in opposition to what Travis wants, but God had something in mind concerning the girl that he gave to Travis. How do we make space for our partners to authentically be who God made them to be? How do you do that practically?
I think a lot of conversation.
Okay.
I think a lot of honesty and there being a safe place to be honest. I think that's what for me was very helpful in our relationship, even to the day, that I'm able to really be bare and really like I don't have to, if I feel something about something, about someone, about something, about a situation, I can be very raw and not judged in that rawness. And you always give me a broader perspective, and I try to do the same for you. But in that, they're shaping. In that, I'm able to get things out of my head. I said from the stage this past Sunday that you're my therapist, but it's real. So, but in that, like I'm able to like get things outside of me that I might have been contemplating, and I think those things help sculpt like the purest and the best version of me. I think authenticity is a discovery. I don't like you. Like if you just say I am who I am and I'm just this is my authentic self, and you want to stay there, then you dismiss evolution, and then I think you minimize your own effectiveness. And I just don't think that's smart. I think that's stupid. So I think for anybody, I think authenticity is a discovery, but I think it's one that gives way to vulnerability, that gives way to transparency, that gives way to honesty, in order that hopefully the Holy Spirit, with the help of your partner, your help of mentors, can help sculpt you into the best version of yourself, and I think that, and then that is authentic. But I don't think like, I don't know if I'm making sense, but I don't think authenticity is like this, like
I am who I am.
Yeah, I think I'm becoming who I'm becoming.
And I want you to be on the journey for that.
Yeah, but I'm real about where I am. That's what makes it authentic.
That's good.
What makes it authentic is not arriving to a place, but it's being real about where I'm at en route to wherever God's taking me.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I did say that was my last question, but this came to mind when you were speaking. Your actual advice for a person that feels as if their spouse is in opposition to who they're becoming. Because I thought about, when I was on a podcast and a lady asked me, how have you played a role in like my hair journey? And I could only imagine if you only like weave. And God was really trying to help me to love me without extensions. Or if I was trying en route to be a greater speaker and you wanted me to only be at home or in the background. Like, I don't know what a world like that would be. But I do want to give advice to women because a lot of people live there.
Mm-hmm. I think counseling. I'll say first. I think that's just very important. I think the difficulty becomes not knowing how to communicate the difference or the gap, right? And I think the more you can get tools to communicate that gap, I think that the more the gap can close in. And when I talk about gap, I'm talking about like what you need from a person or what you desire from them, and what they desire from you. And so I think counseling helps that. I think it helps give language to like, this ain't what I need. Because even though like we have an amazing marriage, we could count our arguments on two hands, and God's been very gracious to us. There has been seasons where it's like, I need Jackie to be somebody different. You know what I mean? And I didn't know, And the frustration was that I didn't really know how to communicate that. I just knew this wasn't working for what was happening to me in that season.
Okay.
And vice versa. There's been seasons where it's like, yeah, Trav, you're not being like, that was cool for them, but like you're not being, I'm different, and you're not being who I need in this space. And that's either slowing me down, causing a distraction, causing frustrations, or just causing us to misfire. And those expectations are not being met. And there were seasons where even sometimes we didn't know how to properly articulate that. And I always tell people the worst time to articulate is when you're frustrated. I mean, sometimes you don't know you're frustrated until you're frustrated. And they're just like, I've been pissed about this. I ain't even know I was pissed about that. Or somebody say something and be like, well, I'm glad it's open. Now that we're here, let me go ahead and tell you all this so I've been holding. So I think counseling, and just helping that. I think, but it's important that you both make a decision that, hey, we're going to stick this out. And that's why I think it's important to marry right, because that does become added, like, pressure point.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that God's not in it. It doesn't mean that God can't use it. It does mean that it is a thorn that could have been possibly avoided, or can be avoided if you marry right. But if you did marry somebody based on potential, or marry somebody in hopes that they would turn, or marry somebody who y'all were running together and y'all were on the same page and they decided to break their leg, or decided to get off the train, or decided to put their eyes on somebody else, or those things happen too. You know what I mean? Like y'all could, I've officiated weddings, or I've been at weddings where it's been like, man, this
God is here.
Work. Like this is perfect. And then somewhere along the way it's like, but somebody can make that decision. That's the blessing and curse of free will, of like someone can decide, I don't really want to go this way no more. I've seen that over and over and over. So I just think the commitment, the vows matter, and the commitment that we're going to stick it out. And just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not God, and doesn't mean that it's not useful. And doesn't mean like, I think even in that, there's still growth that can be happening on both sides of becoming, everything God called you to be. So, yeah.
I do want you all watching to take away one of the things that I feel like helped us so much, even in this space of like letting Travis be who he is, who I am from season to season, has had a lot to do with communication. One of the major things that I feel like helped us to get away from the passing cargo syndrome, or like essentially he's carrying a lot of cargo, I'm carrying a lot of cargo, but we're going in opposite directions and we don't know how to show up for each other to be able to help carry the weight, is like just stopping, even at night, just like, how was your day? Where are you? How are you? What do you need? Like that really changes the game and has been super, super helpful for us. So I just wanted to offer that. I asked every other guest this season, so I have to ask you because you're a Will. What's the secret sauce for the season? At large, it can be random, anything. What would you say is the secret sauce of the season?
I would say rhythm. One thing that's been helpful for me, I think everyone should name your days. And so, like, so you're not guessing with your week and guessing with your rhythm, like knowing, hey man, for example, for me, Sunday's church, this is what it is. Monday's Sabbath, so that's my rest, that's my recovery, it's my recreation. Tuesday's school, Wednesday's meetings for church, Thursday's message prep and school, Friday is a treat if I earned it, you know what I mean? So if I'm done with all the other work that I need to get done, all my meetings, all my press, all my, schoolwork, whatever, then Fridays become a luxury. If not, then I have to also, like, that day is a flex day for me. So that morning I might have to actually use it to play catch up or finish some stuff or whatever. Saturday's family day. Thursday night's date night, movie night. So name your days. And I just think that helps create structure in your life. I think everyone, for me, that's been the sauce for the season. Everyone has the same amount of time, and a lot of people feel overwhelmed because they're playing catch up to a schedule they don't have control of. So like name like, hey, this day I'm tackling this. And that doesn't mean that I can't do other things and audibles can't be called, but this is gonna have my weight, the majority of my weight is gonna be on this specific. So I know it's very practical, but for me it's been like helpful in this season.
Any other things before we call it?
Love you, proud of you. This is amazing for me to talk. Thanks for having me back, man.
I love it. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned. Bye. Probably when we go to woman evolving you to get your man.
Okay, real question. But as it relates to hard things can still be God.
Yes.
How do you even let PT get to the third chance? without thinking this can't be it.
I did think it wasn't it.
Never again.
And I even said he was very, very judgmental, like very religious, and he says it about himself. I mean, my mother is woman of grace. I was opposite end of the spectrum, and so he was drugged to church, meaning like he went all the time. Like I went to church, and I absolutely had a strong stance, but I was very much like, I mean, people have their own journeys and their own blah blah blah. So when he was super judgmental, I didn't think it could work. So there were times, but I was open to that because I was secure in if it wasn't him, it was gonna be someone great. Like it didn't, like I was never at like a beggar syndrome, like it gotta, I'm great. So greatness has to come. That doesn't mean that heart won't come with it, but I was okay if Travis wasn't it. That was just a reality for me. So yeah, I mean, very many times I told Keisha I was gonna put her on the boat with Travis. Like, y'all can roll on. Like, because she was trying to take up for him. I was just like, no, I've already decided I'm not doing that again. I'm gonna choose Jackie if it comes down to having to choose. So yeah, sometimes you have to be willing to let that thing go. She even had to do that with Denard. Like I was like, baby, if it's supposed to be, it will be. Put him on the altar. That's what solidifies it. But we're never in a desperate situation where it's like, oh my God, well, if this isn't, I mean, if it's God, it's God. If it's not, it's not. But that's been the truth for your whole life. And I think that's something that I do really want to be spoke loud. I think many times when it comes to relationships, people forget who God has been the whole time. Right. He doesn't stop being a good father that provides and takes you through things to grow character. If he did it with jobs, he'll do it with relationships, but we get so different with God when it comes to a man. I don't get it.
Yeah, that's killing the therapy.
Got it.
I pray that you enjoyed today's episode. It was absolutely amazing. But what you just watched was something we like to call Let's Talk About It. Myself, PJ, and Keisha, we sit down after every episode and deep dive into what happened and really talk about the real stuff that we didn't get to talk about inside of the episode. And this content is only available inside of Permission World. So what you have to do in order to watch a full episode, you have to join the app. There's information on the screen right now. There's information in the description box. Make sure you jump in on the app. Speaking of which, don't click off yet. I want to show you a testimony of someone inside of Permission World already and how it's impacted her life. Check this out.
Hey guys, I'm JC, and I just wanted to really quickly tell you why the Permission app and being a part of Permission World has been so impactful and so vital for this past season of my life. The Permission app provides incredible resources and incredible tools for you in your faith journey, whether you're new, whether you've been on it for a while. It's for everybody across the board. And has an incredible community of women who talk about faith, who talk about life, who talk about the Lord in their journey, all the highs and all the lows. And so if you haven't already, please sign up for Permission World, get the Permission app. You won't regret it. And it will challenge you to grow deeper. It will challenge you to grow more together with other believers and other women. So make sure you get that.